Yeah, so definitely we do cover, all things when it comes to income protection, or as you better know, life insurance, right? And the key thing to hear about that a lot of people you'll hear say is, "Oh, I've got it through work," right? That's the biggest thing. "Oh, I got it through work. I'm already set. I'm already set." But what people don't know can hurt them. And so that's why we lead with education. You'll never hear me say, "Oh, you've got that. That's so bad. Oh my goodness," because that's what people have. This is your friends, your families. They have products and services that most likely will take advantage of them. And so that's why we lead with education and we empower the people that we sit with to understand not only what they have, but more importantly, how it works, and then educate them on the best way in which to reach whatever goal it is they have, right? Some people, it's just to get to retirement. For some people, it's, hey, I just want to make sure I pass something down when I pass away. And for some people, hey, just put my butt in a box in the ground and that's pretty much it. But you need to pay for that. That's not free. There is an entitlement mentality that's going around right now for a lot of people who say, "Oh, my family will just take care of it." Well, that's a burden that you don't need to leave behind. And I don't know about you, but when going through high school, I never got a class on how money works. We were never really taught on the fundamentals of it, of adulting 101 and the things that we should do. And so for you guys, just as a little bonus for taking the time to hear me, I'm going to drop this in the chat here. It is an actual downloadable book called How Money Works. And now you can never again say, "Hey, I don't know how money works," because you have the literal written book on it. But it really goes through and with photos, illustrations, all nine, shows how the fundamentals should be taught and explained. And we even have a How Money Works for kids, which is super cool too. But when people want to do better, they just don't know how to do better. And when you're able to educate them, and instead of saying, "Hey, you should do this," and pointing the finger, we come on the other side of the table with them and put our arms around them and say, "Hey, listen, I've been there, right? I've gotten the unknown numbers that call that you know who it is. It's a debt collector, right? Or you don't want to go to the mail because you know what's going to be sitting in there. And sometimes when there's no mail, you're like, hey, no news is good news, because you know some of those things that come through. And so being somebody who was $180,000 in debt, living paycheck to paycheck as a registered nurse, I was living the American nightmare. And that's what a lot of people are stuck in right now. I mean, the leading cause of divorce is finances, fights over finances. Leading cause of death is, heart disease, and a lot of it is caused secondary to stress and stress about money. And so I just thought, hey, if I can help cure people or fix people and really empower them to do better in this area, just by educating, not preaching from the mountaintop or standing on my soapbox, but just getting in the trenches with them and using their actual numbers. I think that's something that's super huge too, is going through what they have, explaining it, but also using their own interest rates, their own amount of debt that they're in, and show them how fast we can pull them out of that. It's doing the whole picture for that family. Now, in here, I'm just the life insurance seat, and I say just kind of like tongue in cheek, but it's a lot more than just, because I know one of the people in our groups had mentioned 9/11 being a really big thing. Well, I don't know about you, but in most life insurance policies, when you read what's actually in them, that's the blessing and the curse. They have to put everything into that policy. That's why a lot of these policies are super thick. But the bold text giveth and the bold text taketh away. And when you start reading what's in these, you'll find that over 99% of these policies that are issued have what's called a war or terrorism clause, which means if you pass away due to the act of war or terror, guess what that company does not have to pay? They don't pay your family anything. And so when you look at things like 9/11, when the president came on and said, this is an act of war or terror, all the insurance companies went, whew, we don't have to pay that. Well, that's great for that company, not so great for those families. And our company is one of the only ones that does not have that written in. And so we had over 52 people during 9/11 that we, within 2 weeks, were out there paying death claims to make sure that those families were taken care of and that we held up our end of the contract. And it just doesn't stop with things like that. I mean, a lot of people are like, okay, well, active war terrorism might not just happen so close to home, but what about the shootings that were right here in Lake Orion? That was really close to home. And then they called him a domestic terrorist. Well, that's an act of domestic terrorism by all points and means. Those companies don't have to pay out on any of those insurance claims. I don't know about you guys, but when I talk about protecting my family, I don't want it to be like a policy that has Swiss cheese, right? Like a bunch of holes in it. I want it to be ironclad and make sure that my family's taken care of no matter what. And so that's when we're able to step in and just look at what people already have and just explain to them, hey, where is it that you're going to? All right, let's help you get there most efficiently. Let's figure out where you are, what you have. What was the main reason you got this? Okay, well, let's show you how this actually works and make sure that you're on track to hit your goal there. And so even when people are, applying for other companies, I tell absolutely excellent. Make sure you get a policy, not just a quote, because people will quote you all day, every day, everything that you want to hear, all the bells and whistles, right? You being platinum health, 100 pounds and 6 feet tall, and you're the ideal health. That's what they'll quote you on, and then turn around and get you a policy, and it's something completely different. And again, the bold text is what's actually in your policy is what's going to actually cover your family or not cover your family. And that's the other part of it. A lot of people think that with group insurance, they're like, hey, we're covered, we're all set. But then you go back and you find, wait, there's a lot of loopholes in which people are not covered. They had to be at work X amount of days. They have to be an active employee. Well, I don't know if you've ever met somebody who's going through chemo. They're not going through chemo, radiation, and then back to work again, right? They can't stand going to work physically. And so when they're out of it for that long, let's say 90 days, day 91, they pass away, that workplace doesn't have to give them anything. And a lot of the times they don't because it's out of their hands. The workplace wants to give it to them, but the group policy that they have with that company, that doesn't pay out because they signed on the dotted line, hey, you have to be an active employee. And again, what you don't know can hurt you. And so that's where I just stress to you guys is know what you have and know how it works. And if I can help with that, I'd love to be of service, and just show you what you have and how it works. And so you understand it and you're empowered to make sure that you're making the right decision for your family. And with that, that's it. That's all I got. So thanks so much, Candace, for having me on and allowing me to talk to you guys and make sure you all are empowered with your own finances.